out of like Caribbean culture, there's so many different little like Bahamas, Belize. There's so many. But what propels Jamaicans to like be at the forefront of certain things where you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Sports, like outspokenness.
In
like,
Jamaica, we would say we're enough, meaning we're a lot. We're Jamaicans. So there are a couple of different theories, and again, I'm not a historian, okay? But one of the theories, and I've heard people say it, I've heard historians say it, is that as they were dropping off the slaves off the slave ship, the enslaved people, they would save the most rambunctious ones for Jamaica. So we got rambunctious ones.
Gotcha.
That were, I guess we had the bigger plantations. We were among the, we're the third largest island in the Caribbean. So we had the bigger plantations, more need for, I guess, more manpower. So we got a lot of the slaves, the enslaved people. We got a lot of the rambunctious ones.
Mm-hmm.
And we also, which is why we also had so many rebellions,
That's right.
Which is why we took our freedom.
Out of the whole Caribbean,
Yeah,
though, like why no? You don't hear about rebellions, or maybe they haven't been written about in different little countries.
Because they just kept all the unruly ones and brought them to Jamaica. For some reason, we got them.
Yeah.
And so we rebelled. And our enslaved people, and it has stayed with us.
That's right.
We are a very proud people. Very proud people. Don't say boo about Jamaica to us.
Mm-hmm.
We're good at everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're the best at everything. That's how we see ourselves.
Okay.
And we are pushed by our parents and by our culture to accept nothing but the best.
That's right.
So if it is sports, we're the best. If it's badness, we're going to be the best.
That's right.
If it's scamming, we're going to be the best. If it's arts, we're going to be the best. Whatever it is, we are pushed to be the very best at what we do. I think a lot of how our school system works, even though it's the same British system as most of the Caribbean. But things like our sports, we start grooming sportsmen and women from a very, very young age. Sports competition in the school is serious business,
Right.
I mean, from a very, very young age.
Is that right?
Sports day is serious business. It's not play business,
Mm-hmm.
Kids are running from a very young age. We play a lot of, just like everywhere else in the Caribbean, cricket on the street and stuff like that. But we're just competitive by nature.
Competitive. That's how you.
We're competitive by nature, and it is instilled in us to accept nothing short of the best. And so we push for that.
That's right.
It's just, I think it's just in us.
That's a blessing.
And then we're also the rambunctious, rebellious.
Yeah, that's right. I get a lot of inspiration from my grandmother. I was just wondering, because grandmothers tell stories, is that where you got inspiration to be a storyteller, or where did you get the inspiration?
I wish I could say it was my grandmother. My grandmother did tell stories, but she actually would talk back to songs a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. But my inspiration came from writers like Miss Lou, Jamaican Miss Lou.
Okay.
Miss Lou has to be probably one of my biggest inspirations, and a lot of writers in Jamaica will tell you Miss Lou.
Wow.
Because Louise Bennett Coverley, the Honorable Louise Bennett Coverley, and I don't use honorable lightly because I don't use it for everybody just because it's in front of your name. But the Honorable Louise Bennett Coverley was an amazingly brilliant woman who taught us that our language, our Jamaican language, is not broken English. It's not bad English. It's not speaking bad. It is derived from tree and from other things, and it's not something that we should take for granted.
That's true.
And she taught us to be proud of it. I grew up in a time when speaking Jamaican, we used to call it patois, now we call it Jamaican because it is our language. At least some people still call it patois. But when speaking patois was frowned upon.
Yeah,
No.
I remember that, yeah.
Dare not, speak the Queen's English. I'm an anti-monarchist because I I'm anti-colonialism.
Gotcha.
And I'm an anti-monarch. I'm an anti-colonial monarchist. Let me put it that way.
Okay,
So
that's a good
if
one.
you want to be monarch over your own people, I have no problem with that concept. I have a problem with the concept of you being monarch over your people and coming to my people and telling us that no, you're monarch over us and we must now leave our kings and queens and come to you.
Whoa.
See, I have a
I
problem with
never
that.
thought about it like that. Whoa.
That's where my anti-monarchy stance comes from.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with your royalty being royalty over your people. I have a problem with you coming and forcing other people to recognize your royalty as their royalty. So that said, Miss Lou really resonated with me. And as a little girl, when speaking patois was not something you were allowed to do, we could do Miss Lou poems.
Oh.
See, we have, again, back to our system, we have a thing called festival each year where there's all the arts you can compete from your schools.
Really?
Yeah, you compete in what used to be elocution, which I guess is now just speech. And
I love this.
When
Give
I
us
was
some
growing
more
up, it was
terms,
elocution.
yeah.
You have to elocute. Speech, drama, dance, music, and singing. Right. I did all of those except for music.
Wow.
And so we develop our singers or dancers, all our talent from very young ages. So I was singing and in choirs and stuff since I was a little kid. And in drama, going to festival and competing to win and learning since I was a little kid. And at festival, you could do Miss Lou poems and nobody would slap you on the wrist. You could speak all the patois you wanted.
Not a problem.
Because it's Miss Lou poem. Candy lady, candy ma'am. Business bad nowadays. And you could be yourself a Jamaican speaking Jamaican because it was accepted at that level.
That's right.
And that really inspired me. Miss Lou is a huge inspiration for me. And then there are also, I guess I've always loved words. I'm dyslexic with numbers. I'm not dyslexic with letters.
Okay.
And I've always loved words. I've always found words fascinating. I told everybody yesterday when I was a kid, I think I was a little bit of a show off because I used to like to read the dictionary and the encyclopedias and just absorb all these big words and then spit them back out.
Your hand was first up in class.
Kind of thing. Or just the first to say this fancy word.
Yeah, exactly.
And
That's funny.
yeah. So I always liked words, and then I always loved poetry. So the Claude McKays of this world were but I also loved like Robert Louis Stevenson and just anything. I loved Shakespeare. Anything that was words always appealed to me. And so I was a voracious reader,
Yeah.
and I would read anything.
Were your brothers and sisters like that, or were you that groundbreaker?
I'm a little different from most of my sisters and brother. I have one sister who is also a voracious reader. They were more academic,
Okay.
more into the sciences and more straight academic. I was good at the sciences, but I had a lot of artistic tendencies as well, and I just preferred that.
Okay.
So I moved in that direction, much to my father's dismay.
Well, this has been great. I'm just glad to talk with you today.
Thank you so much, Cal.
And this is your book. You also said you have a class on Skillshare. Can you
Yes,
just
I have a
discuss that?
class on Skillshare called Fiction Writing for Rule Breakers. And it's a class that I developed actually, I think for Caracon was the first time I did that class about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And I developed it because as a writer, I was taught how to do it, the right way. You write your plot, you write your this, you develop your characters before you even start writing. And I couldn't write that way. I would just sit and stare at a blank page
Okay.
until I stopped doing that. And I just broke all the rules.
Okay.
And so I created this class called Fiction Writing for Rule Breakers, for the people who cannot write that way. And I've found that there are more of me than I ever thought.
Whoa.
A lot of people who have done the class who have said they love the class because they thought there was something wrong with the way they were writing because they couldn't do the formal way of writing. And so that's what it is.
Okay. Beautiful, Miss Judith.
Thank you so much, Cal.
Thank you, everyone. The sun, you see, the sun came out for her
Yes.
today. There she is glowing.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you.